Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here, as always, is simple. We dive into a ton of sources, articles, and research so you don't have to. We pull out what really matters and give you that shortcut to being, well, instantly in the know.
And today, we're getting into something we all do, but maybe you don't think about in this way. We're talking about sleep.
Right, and for most of us, when you think better sleep, your mind probably goes to, I don't know, some pretty gentle strategies.
Things like drinking a cup of herbal tea, maybe putting your phone away an hour before bed.
Making sure the room is pitch black. That's what we used to call sleep hygiene.
Exactly. Sleep hygiene. It was all about creating the perfect conditions for sleep.
It was passive. You were just, setting the stage, dimming the lights, and then hoping your body would get the hint and decide to cooperate.
But the sources you shared with us, these really incredible articles on biohacking culture, they show that entire philosophy has been, it's been completely blown up by technology.
Blown up is a good way to put it. We're not talking about gentle habits anymore. It's a full-scale, aggressive, technological takeover of rest.
And that's really our mission for you today. We want to help you quickly get your head around the key technologies and, more importantly, the huge philosophical shift that's happening. We're moving way past sleep hygiene.
And landing somewhere new, a place the sources call sleep dominance.
Dominance is the key word. That's the real shift. The core conflict is between those simple, analog things, the blackout curtains, the chamomile tea, and this new aggressive tech-first approach. One source had this amazing phrase for it, calling it bullying our bodies into resting.
Bullying our bodies. Wow. So it's not passive anymore. It's interventionist.
Deeply interventionist.
Yep.
And often really, really expensive.
Okay, so let's break it down. We've identified three sort of key areas of this technological attack. It covers everything from what's inside your brain to the bed you sleep on.
Let's start with the most, let's call it the most direct approach. The one that feels the most like science fiction.
Because if you want to dominate sleep, you have to go straight to the source, right? The central nervous system itself. We are so far beyond just tracking steps on a wristband here.
It's a massive leap. I mean, for decades, the most advanced sleep tech was, a fancy alarm clock?
Yeah, a sunrise lamp, maybe.
Right. But now, the goal is to bypass conscious effort completely and interface directly with your brain.
Which brings us to our first segment, hacking the brain. This is where you, the user, really cross a threshold. One of the sources called it becoming a sleeping cyborg.
I love that term. It's so visceral.
It is, and it's not an exaggeration. One person they interviewed literally said, I'm strapping a computer to my forehead before bed. I mean, that is just a universe away from making sure the room is cool.
It absolutely is. And the device that's really at the center of this part of the conversation is called the Somnee headband.
Okay, Somnee. And it's not just tracking your sleep.
No, that's the whole point. It doesn't track sleep. It directs it. If you want a memorable nickname, one article called it a brain zapper.
A brain zapper. Okay, that sounds intense.
It does. And while it's not literally zapping you, that image really captures the sheer audacity of the intervention.
So let's get specific. What is it actually doing when it's strapped to your forehead? What's the real science here, beyond just zapping?
The technical term is neuromodulation. And this is really the sort of peak expression of sleep dominance. It uses these very low-level targeted electrical currents to influence your brain's natural rhythms.
Influence them how?
Well, the goal isn't just to make you fall asleep faster. It's to actively improve the quality and the efficiency of the sleep you're getting, particularly your deep sleep.
So it's actually trying to optimize specific parts of the sleep cycle while you're in them.
Precisely. It's all about augmenting what's called slow-wave sleep. That's your deep sleep. It's the really restorative phase that's critical for, memory consolidation, physical repair, all that good stuff.
And how does it do that?
Okay, so when you're in that deep, slow-wave sleep, your brain is producing these big, slow brain waves called delta waves. The neuromodulation tech in the Somnee listens for these waves.
It listens to your brain.
It listens. And then it applies these tiny, subtle electrical pulses that are timed exactly with the rising phase of your natural delta waves. It's essentially giving them a little energetic nudge.
Wait, hold on. So the headband is monitoring my brain in real time. It identifies the specific brainwave for deep sleep, and then it sends a tiny electrical pulse to, what, to make that brainwave stronger?
That is the core idea, yes, to make it more efficient. It's what's called a closed-loop system. It reads, and then it writes back. It's a very explicit way of saying, hey, nature is good, but it's not perfect. We're going to use tech to force these beneficial brain patterns to be stronger, last longer, and be more regular than they would be on their own.
This is the absolute definition of sleep dominance. You're not waiting for your brain to get tired. You are literally using targeted electricity to enforce an optimal pattern. But, I mean, the obvious question comes up. If we're electrically boosting our brain's performance every night, did the sources talk about dependency? Like, are we untraining our brains to do this naturally?
That is the critical question, and yes, the sources definitely go there. It's the big trade-off. For perfect manufactured efficiency, you risk becoming reliant on the technology.
So your brain gets lazy.
It might. I mean, if your brain learns that every night this little device is going to give it the perfect push into deep sleep, it could theoretically diminish its own ability to make that transition smoothly without the assist. Are you becoming a better sleeper or just a more technologically dependent one?
A very powerful question. Okay, let's pull back from the brain itself, from the internal landscape, and move outward. Because the next area of attack for sleep dominance is the environment. Specifically, the 8 inches of environment directly surrounding your body all night.
And this is where the big money comes in. We're moving from a relatively small device on your forehead to a piece of furniture that can cost more than a used car.
Exactly. The sources all point out that for all the talk about light and noise, the #1 reason people actually wake up is temperature.
It's so simple, but so true. It's that feeling of being too hot, kicking a leg out from under the covers, flipping the pillow to find the cool side.
That one little thermal annoyance can just wreck your sleep.
And that thermal vulnerability is precisely what this next piece of dominance tech is designed to completely, utterly eliminate.
We're talking about the 8 Sleep mattress. And we have to start with the price, because the sources all mention the sticker shock. We're talking $4,000, $4,000.
Yeah.
That's not just buying a bed. That's making a serious financial statement that you are committed to this philosophy of dominance.
And that high cost is really the so what here. For that $4,000, you're not just buying foam and springs, you're buying a personalized, proactive thermal management system. The key feature is active cooling.
Okay, but what does that mean? How is that different from, just cranking up the AC?
It's a great question. Because a thermostat controls the whole room.
Right.
It's a blunt instrument.
One temperature for everyone and everything.
Right. Active cooling in this mattress regulates the temperature directly into your body. There's a grid of tiny sensors and microtubes woven into the mattress cover that circulates temperature-controlled fluid. It's basically liquid cooling, like in a high-end computer, but for your body.
So it's not some passive gel layer that just feels cool for a few minutes. There's an active engine running all night.
There is. And here's the kicker. It's driven by AI. One of the sources had this fantastic description. They said, it's like sleeping on the cool side of the pillow, but the pillow is an AI robot.
That is an amazing quote. I love that. Let's dig into the AI robot part. How does that make it more than just a fancy cooling pad?
That's the key to the whole dominance idea. The AI learns you. It learns your body. For example, your core body temperature naturally dips in the first few hours of sleep and then rises as you get closer to waking up. The AI learns your personal rhythm. It knows that you, specifically, tend to get a little too warm around 2 a.m. So it doesn't wait for you to wake up feeling hot. It preemptively starts the active cooling sequence at 1:45 a.m. to stop it from ever happening.
So it's not reacting to you sweating, it is predicting you will sweat, and it intervenes before it can even start.
That's it, exactly. The goal is zero thermal friction.
Yeah.
Total environmental compliance. And get this, most of them have dual zone control. Meaning if you sleep with a partner, the system can be actively cooling your side of the bed to, say, 69 degrees, while it's gently heating your partner's side to 72, all based on 2 separate learned profiles.
That is just a profound level of control compared to arguing over the thermostat. This tech takes the single biggest external disruptor temperature and just removes it from the equation entirely.
If the Somnee headband dominates your internal brain state, the 8 Sleep mattress dominates your external environment. It guarantees a perfect thermal cocoon.
Okay, so we've done the brain, we've done the bed. Now let's unpack a third area. This one's a little more subtle than a brain zapper or a $4,000 mattress, but it's still fundamentally aggressive. We're talking about hacking the nervous system itself.
Right. If the first device was about neurological cycles and the second was about external temperature, this third one targets the bridge between stress and rest. The autonomic nervous system.
And the device the source is focused on here is called the Sensate. The description is almost deceptively simple. It's a small, pebble-shaped device that sits on your chest, and it vibrates.
A very simple action for a very complex goal. The whole point of the Sensate is to stimulate one of the most important pathways in your body for managing stress.
The vagus nerve.
Right, the vagus nerve. For anyone who needs a quick refresher, this is like the body's information superhighway, right? It connects the brain to the gut, heart, lungs. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And you can think of it as the body's main brake pedal. When you're stressed out in fight or flight mode, that's your sympathetic nervous system. When you're calm, resting, digesting, that's your parasympathetic nervous system.
And the vagus nerve is what shifts you from one to the other.
It's the primary driver of that shift into the relaxing parasympathetic state. So if you can find a way to deliberately stimulate it, you can essentially fast-track your body out of stress mode and into rest mode. You're overriding all that anxiety from a long day.
So the vibrations from this little device on your sternum are designed to basically tell the vagus nerve, hey, time to calm down now.
That's the idea. It uses these very specific low-frequency sound waves and vibrations that resonate through the chest bone. It's a non-invasive signal telling your internal brake pedal that it's time to engage. It's a shortcut.
That is biohacking in its purest form. It's an admission that modern life keeps us constantly revved up, and that just, taking a few deep breaths might not be enough anymore. We need a technological shortcut to force our bodies to relax.
And one of the sources just nailed it. They called this approach biohacking, pure and simple. It's basically saying the natural machinery is overwhelmed by 21st century life, so we need technology to step in and restore balance.
Which brings us to the real takeaway for you, the listener. The sources draw this incredibly sharp line in the sand, a contrast between the old analog way and this new digital approach to rest. If you were still just relying on the basic stuff, like a dark room,
then, according to this entire philosophy of sleep dominance, you are, and I quote, playing the game on hard mode.
That says it all, doesn't it? Playing the game on hard mode. It reframes basic habits as being inefficient, slow, maybe even insufficient for modern life. You have to use tech to win.
Or you're leaving performance on the table.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap this technological triad we've covered. The 3 pillars of sleep dominance.
We started right inside the skull with direct intervention on the brain. That's the Somnee headband using neuromodulation, those little electrical nudges, to actively manage and optimize your deep sleep.
Then we moved outward to the macro environment, where the $4,000 8 Slook mattress uses that AI-driven active cooling to completely eliminate temperature as a reason to wake up.
And finally, we went back inside the body to the nervous system, where the Sensate device hacks the vagus nerve with therapeutic vibrations, giving you a direct, non-mental shortcut to a state of calm.
The goal across all 3 is so clear and so aggressive. Find every possible obstacle to perfect sleep and crush it with technology. The body is treated less like an organism and more like a machine that needs its output optimized.
That's the essence of the era. The philosophy is that perfect sleep is now an engineering problem to be solved with expensive, intensive, technological intervention. We don't trust the human body to rest on its own anymore. It has to be managed, dominated, and digitally guided every step of the way.
Which leaves us with a final and I think pretty provocative thought for you to take away from this deep dive. If this is where we're at, if sleep dominance means we need brain zappers and AI beds and nerve stimulators to bully our bodies into resting.
What does that reliance on high-tech intervention mean for our own innate, natural ability to just fall asleep?
Yeah. If success with this technology means you eliminate all the natural friction of falling asleep, does that very success create a deeper biological dependency on the tech?
Are we training ourselves to only be able to rest when a specific piece of hardware gives us permission?
Something to think about tonight as you get ready for your own journey into rest.
Until the next deep dive, keep thinking critically.
We'll see you soon.